He said, I'm going to go home, sleep for an hour and a half. I'll be back at 7. Let's take it for the maiden voyage, which is always a scary one.
Mm-hmm.
What did you forget to tighten?
Yeah.
He came back over, got back up, came back over by 7:15. We backed the car out of the driveway and ran out of gas in the street. So we had to push it back in the driveway.
Welcome back to FTP Speed Shop PodCast, a podcast where we talk about what you talk about in the garage because, hey, we're in the garage. I'm your host, Mike Early, and tonight with me I've got Jeff Behrens. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Good. It's nice in here, nice and cool. It's
Yes,
about
it is.
104 degrees outside right now and just miserable outside, so got the AC on in here and we're just chilling.
Absolutely.
So,
It's a balmy 75 in here.
yeah, I did have to open the door to pull the car out, so I let a little heat in.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to open the doors once in a while to get things moving.
So what are you working on in the garage right now? Or what do you got going on?
Well, so the latest project was a 62 Studebaker GT Hawk. I bought that from my grandfather's estate when he passed away a couple years back, and the overdrive was trashed on it. And it's an old school Ford 3-speed, 3 on the tree transmission with a Borg Warner R10 overdrive behind it. I had a huge learning curve here. Never touched one of those things.
Yeah.
I went to pull the overdrive off of it when I was on the lift, and lots of stuff fell on the floor. Pretty excited about that when I saw some sprag rollers and some springs and some rods. And
It wasn't supposed to come apart. It just came apart.
yeah, yep.
Okay,
Yep,
so it's not like one of those things where you open it up and all the stuff springs off. It just was broken.
It was a mix of broken and, as I come to find out, 2 weeks later, putting it back together, of good stuff too.
Yeah.
But
Putting that stuff together after it shoots apart and explodes, it's like, this looks like it goes there. And I've never been inside of anything automatic transmission-wise. I just know there's like springs and BBs and God knows what else in there, and it's all ran by voodoo magic, and I don't understand it, so I stay away from it.
I have taken apart one automatic transmission in my life, Mike. And you know where I ended up at? In a tote at the curb when the trash guys came around again. That was my one. It was a 700 R4 back in 2003. Took it all apart, looked at it, scooped it in a tote, and said, that's never going back together.
Yeah, that's not for me. Well, when we got a good training guy, so we just go ahead and send it down to Corey and have him take care of it, and we just kind of stay away from it. Yeah, there's no point for the amount of money he charges to do it, and you take it out, doesn't work, drop it off a couple weeks later, pick it up. Well, if it's your time slot, he's booked out like 8 months because he's good, but pick it up, put it in, it works.
Yeah. He's like the transmission whisperer. He likes to explain to you what was wrong with the transmission, and a lot it sounds like Vietnamese or something. You're like, yeah.
Eyes just glaze over. And you're like, yeah, oh yeah, I've heard of that before.
Yep,
I know exactly.
So it works now. Okay, cool.
So it's working.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, perfect. All right. So
to finish up that, it's a horribly long story. I'll make it super short for the podcast here, okay? So I got the overdrive out, and I realized I had cracked the seal on the intermediate plate between the transmission and the overdrive. And I was like, well, that's not good. I'm going to have to pull that off and reseal it up before I put it all back together. I didn't want to leach, So I pulled the whole transmission down, put it on the bench. And when I pulled the intermediate plate off the transmission, lots more stuff came falling. It's a 3-speed manual T86 transmission. Shift forks inside of it because it's a side, not a side loader, but the shift forks are on the side of it. So yeah, lots of stuff just fell into the case. And I was like, shit, that's not good. I've never touched a manual transmission either in my life. So a week later, looking at diagrams, watching a few YouTube videos, I actually got all that crap.
So hold on now. Maybe I wasn't paying good enough attention. That's a manual.
That's a manual 3-speed.
Manual 3-speed transmission, but it has an automatic overdrive.
Yes.
Oh.
It has an add-on overdrive to
Unit
the back
on
of
the
the
back.
transmission. Yeah. It's speed controlled, 27 mile an hour. It kicks in. It's pretty unique because you go through first gear. It's governed at 27 miles an hour. So first gear won't go in overdrive. You hit second gear, you wind it up to 30, let out the gas, and it shifts per se.
So you got to kind of
into overdrive, yeah.
blurp it a little bit, and
You just let out the
or
gas.
let off, and
Yep. And then you go into third gear, and the thing runs like 2,000 RPM at 70 miles an hour when the overdrives are working correctly. So It's a neat setup once it's all
good
working.
Cruiser. Yeah. Okay. So now I do want to go ride in it because it's a manual with an automatic overdrive.
I'm going to show you that. It's going to blow your mind when it shifts in second gear is a manual transmission. It's when I got everything fall back together last Sunday, and I was like, yes, it's all sealed up. It's all back together. The shift forks appeared to be working. Put it back in, took it for a drive. Overdrive didn't work. Of course it didn't, right? That's just too easy. But the transmission shifted and everything.
Okay.
So that was the score. I've had a manual completely apart. I put in new synchros and resealed it up, put it all back together. So then I was like, well, it's got to be something electrical. Because the overdrive was coasting when you let out the gas, which means mechanically wise, it's all good. Something electrical is wrong. They've got about 5 components to those things all together between a full throttle switch, a governor, a solenoid, all this crap, So I tested all that and found out there was 2 wires reversed on the solenoid. Put them on, took it out. Beautiful. So.
The 2 wires switched just instantly popped in my head when we were trying to get the Chevelle started after we LS swapped it when I had a broken arm. And you'd been there on your laptop, and we could not get the thing to run. It was just backfiring. And it was, the coil packs, the passenger side was in the driver's side, and the driver's side was in the passenger side because it's all underneath the dash.
Yep.
And it was the P was in the D.
Yes.
And then literally switched them, leaned over, bumped the key, and
boom,
fired. I was like, Jeff, I know you just left and it's 1:30 at night, but you want to come back because it's running now. I'll see you in the morning.
I remember that. I do remember. We got it running.
Yep.
That was the worst tuning job I ever did in my life because I had to dumb everything out of it to get it to run for a cruise the next morning.
Everything's still dumbed out of it.
Yeah, it's still running.
I haven't done anything to it. I take that back. I did completely get the NA table, no boost table because the blower took a shit or whatever, and we zip tied the bypass open.
Oh yeah.
That was when I just first started messing with the HB tuners and data logging and all that stuff. So I got the NA table dialed in. It's tits on. Perfect. Yep. I don't know what it is on the 6-liter. It's probably not quite 6-liter 5.7. I figure it's close enough.
The trims would probably be close enough to make that. Redial back in.
It fucking runs good still.
Yep, it runs, so who gives a shit?
Yeah. So you got the Studebaker. That's going to be your driver cruiser car.
Yep.
Gonna
Bone
keep
stock,
it
leave
all
it all
factory.
stock. Yep. The thing's in beautiful shape.
It's a unique looking car for sure. It looks kind of like a European type.
Like a Mercedes
like
nose.
a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce or something like that, and then kind of almost a Ford in the back.
T-Bird. They're trying to kind of mimic a T-Bird look in the back. It's a true hardtop car. So I'm gonna teach my wife how to drive. She knows how to drive stick shifts, but a 3 on the tree. She was watching me drive the other day, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "This is a 3 on the tree, so, and you will learn how to drive it, babe." So
I have never driven a 3 on the tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, tonight's gonna be your night.
No.
I'm gonna break your 3 on the tree virginity.
No, I don't. I didn't want to lose it like this.
Not to a Studebaker.
Yeah, not to a Studebaker.
So, yeah, that's been my last 2 weeks, kind of messing around. The car still has a really strange thing. If anybody watching this has any idea why, if you tighten a radiator cap on an old, crusty 60s car and it overheats almost immediately, I'd love to know why. Because I'm stumped. I can leave the cap loose, cruise around for an hour, 180 degrees. You tighten that radiator cap, that car will peg 230 degrees so fast. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that is weird. Is it? Obviously, the system needs pressure so it doesn't boil over or whatever. It raises the boiling point.
Which is kind of what you'd think it's weird. It's like opposite of that.
Yeah.
You tighten it, and I've had a few guys tell me possibly head gaskets, something strange going on there. Yeah.
Pumping. That's pressurizing it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe head gaskets are pressurizing it and it's working against the pump. Would be maybe something I could think. So now it's not able to flow, but if it's got a relief valve area with the cap off.
Yeah, I have.
don't know.
I've been around the car scene for 30 years, and this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So.
Yeah, I have never, ever, ever had an issue with air pockets in a coolant system before, ever, once in my life, until I got the Chevelle running again this year.
Till the LS.
No, just the first time was fine. The 5.7, never had an issue with it. It was at 6-liter, and I didn't do a good job of keeping track how much coolant I put in it because I drained all my coolant out into like one of those giant pretzels or cheese ball buckets.
Yeah.
Because it was something I had that was clean.
Well, of course, the cheese ball bucket. It's a classic, yeah.
And so I didn't know exactly how much is in there. I was like, it's got to be a couple gallons, right? And so I dumped all that back in, and I was like, I know I'm going to be a little shy because there was probably another gallon that got spilt or whatever. You know, you can never drain a radiator or pull a lower radiator hose off without losing at least a gallon of coolant.
Usually all of your arms in your shirt, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, it's got enough coolant in it that it should keep cool enough that I can start it and let it run and then check it and top it off if I need to. I drove it to O'Reilly's because for whatever reason I lost my radiator cap. I have no idea where it's at. Well, in the process of redoing all the garage and doing all this stuff,
looks good, by the way.
was when when I was finishing that up, or when that was all tore apart. So I had all the parts laying here on the bench, and then my guys moved everything around, and it's in a box somewhere. There's a lot of stuff I'm missing, but I'll find it. It's probably in like the back corner up there.
It's probably sitting next to your 10mm socket. I'm guessing. They're both staring at you right now, laughing at you.
Buried in the frame somewhere or whatever. But yeah, it overheated before we made it out of the neighborhood, and it was pegged. And I was like, all right, well maybe it's because I don't have the radiator cap on, so I'm gonna keep limping it to O'Reilly's, get the radiator cap.
Yeah.
It was not hot. It was so hot. It was not good. Like I was like, oh.
What's the melting point of aluminum?
Yeah, it was bad. So that's a good way to get your motor running for the first time.
Oh yeah.
Just
overheat the shit out of it.
One real good heat cycle. On it, and actually two because I had to drive. I did a thermostat in O'Reilly's parking lot, thinking the thermostat was stuck for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Pulled the lower hose off, make a mess in their parking lot. They have the springs in there, and that was poked up into the thermostat. And I go, okay, maybe that was getting the thermostat and causing that
somehow,
to not, And so got some dikes, cut that off, put it, and then put it back on, started it, still ran hotter than shit, kept climbing every second. Drained the radiator out again in the parking lot, changed the thermostat, thinking that was a problem. And oh no, actually I take that back. I didn't do that twice because I was going after the thermostat when I found out that wire was in there. So I just swapped the thermostat out anyway. But yeah, it was a lot of coolant in the parking lot. I felt kind of bad about that, but it overheated like real bad getting it home and parked it. And then later on that afternoon, I ended up getting it to take another 2 gallons of coolant.
Is that it? Just 2 gallons?
It's just 2 gallons.
Not cups or quarts?
It wasn't.
Or pints.
It wasn't getting down into the water pump.
So you know how you fill an LS motor? You take your coolant crossover tube off, fill it to the top hose.
That was how I figured out there wasn't any coolant in there because there was nothing coming out of that.
I've always filled them through the top hose, and once that crossover starts pissing out coolant, put it on, you're done. The whole block's full. That's meant to purge air out of the system. Those things are.
Well, and I thought that's what the whole thing was for it. It was, kind of let a little vent so that you could fill the block up and it wouldn't,
Yeah.
But
it's still kind of a subject of debate, those crossovers, because technically at the beginning they had all 4 of them crossed over to the front, and then they went to a blocked off rear. GM did actually, so obviously you're like, well, you don't need that, But
yeah, save 35 cents or whatever by not having that
in some
line
tubing,
underneath the intake. But speaking of LS swaps, you just recently sold your '69 Chevelle for some reason.
I did.
I got to give you a little shit.
I did.
I thought that was going to be the one you're going to be buried in.
So,
what was your Chevelle, or what?
It was a '69 Super Sport. I bought it back in 2010, and it had a Hurt 396 in it when I bought it. Came from Arizona, very clean car. We did I say we, back then it was me. I did a frame off restoration on it in 8 months flat. Working second shift, up at 8 a.m. every morning, and worked on till 2 o'clock. Then went to work till 11 o'clock. Went home, went to bed. Wash, rinse, repeat every day for 8 months, and cost me a marriage basically because I didn't spend time with my wife with my car all the time. But anyway, so I originally took the 396 out, put a 427 in it, fuel injected 427, and it was not happy. It was an old school Excel, neat looking setup, just wouldn't run worth the shit. So I sold that to a guy over in Richmond, Virginia, the whole motor, everything turnkey, and bought an LS2 for it, and never turned back from LS swaps. And I put that one in NA, ran it for 3 years. I ended up putting a supercharger on it when my first son was born. In 2013, I started that project. Kind of ironic. I never had any kids originally. I frame off restored the car in 8 months flat, and then here I go. Took me 2 years to put a supercharger on the car after I had a baby. You know,
it's like, funny how that works. Wow, it really slows everything down.
Puts it all in perspective. You get that little like hour and a half when he's napping. You're like, yes, and then you fall asleep on the couch. You're like, oh.
Or you have that hour and a half window, and so you haul ass out there with the baby monitor, and then you just start doing something, and you're like, yeah. I had a little NASCAR like bouncy walker whatever thing in here that I'd try to put the kids in. I think I rigged up a swing one time in here with like the cherry picker.
Yeah, I imagine.
Try to keep them entertained.
Keep entertained, yeah. I put bubble guppies on the garage, you name it. And
the TV in the garage would have been probably a game changer back in the day. I know it's been a game changer for me now because now I'll just sit down and be like, what's on the tube? And
I'm just going to sit here and crack a beer. Next thing you know, 4 hours later,
Yeah, nice and cool in here now. And I'm really spoiled compared to what I was, working in a handful of years ago.
Exactly. So, yeah, anyway, I had put a 406 stroker in the car. I wanted a really, really nasty sounding NA motor. I decided after running a supercharged LS2 for probably 5 or 6 years.
I feel like you had that thing supercharged forever.
It got done in 2015, and I just built the...
Really? So it really wasn't... Well, I guess, yeah.
It was almost 10 years, just shy of 2 years of the supercharger. We did all the hard lines very meticulously, powder coat everything, painted the whole supercharger black. It was a beautiful looking install when it was done. And I probably ran that combo till at least 2019, maybe 2020.
Yeah, so it was only about 5 years, I guess. Yeah, because you bought it in 10, did the restoration, had the other motors and different generation or, whatever variations in there, I guess, and then... I feel like that thing was supercharged the whole time.
It wasn't very long. It was NA,
Yeah.
But it was fun, and I used to always call that thing Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde with the supercharger because I had electric dumps on it. And you close them things, and it would just scream like a hooker getting beat with their own high heel when you stomped it. But then you open the dumps and just sound like a nasty drag car. I mean, it was just two extremely different cars.
Yeah, and I loved the fact that. Well, I still remember that. What I'm picturing in my head every time I think of your car is that burnout at the birthday cruise. I don't remember where the hell it was. I don't know if it was in Greenwood or if it was...
One where the rubber flew off the back tire?
No, it was the one where I think Justin recorded it and posted it on Facebook in the group or whatever, but you could just hear, you were a block away. You could hear the supercharger just screaming, and then you kind of set sideways just a little bit, and you just sat there and wow. John forced it down the road, and then the neighbor guy in his Ford F-150 goes, "You guys are fucking tearing up our roads. We pay taxes for these roads, and you dumb motherfuckers are out here tearing up our roads."
I forgot about that. That was, there were so many birthday cruise burnouts, I can't keep them all straight. One of my favorites is one that Lynn Benzing posted, where I'm across the street from the bar, and I rev it a few times, and I hear somebody say, "Ben, I'm just going to do a burnout." People start walking out of the bar, and I just nailed it. And you can instantly see about 2 seconds in, this chunk of rubber flies off the tire. Didn't know at the time, but when I got home, I had a big patch missing from it. But I watched the video a few times. You can just see it go flying off, and I was like, oh, that's hard on stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty badass burnout. So.
Well, that thing was definitely a burnout monster. How much boost were you running on that thing?
It was only 5 or 6 pounds.
Was it?
It wasn't much. It was probably pushing, 575 maybe. With the 410s I had in it, though, it would just ignite them tires,
Yeah.
The car was frame off. It had a control bolt in the rear. I had Richmond 410s in it. I put a C-clip limiters in it. And
speaking of C-clip eliminators, because I'm in the process of doing a 12 bolt, I'm going to get rid of that 10 bolt in mine finally.
Really? Nice.
And what did you go with for eliminators? Did you put
Mosier's?
Are those the big aluminum guys that are in there? You never had any issues with them leaking or anything?
Ones, yeah, RTV when you put them on, and I never had. A lot of guys used to bitch about them leaking, but the new age ones now have sealed bearings, double sealed bearings, and everything, and it was never a problem.
Okay.
And those C-clip limiters allowed me to overpress the bearings for the axles about 1/4 of an inch, and I sunk the wheels in further. It allowed me to run those 275 60s without rubbing in my car too. They were super close on that Chevelle. It was a really mean look on wheels and tires, you know. I ended up having to make some custom brackets for the it pushed the rotors in a 1/4 inch, so I had to have my buddy machine me some custom brackets for the aerospace brakes to bring the calipers in a 1/4
Just a little bit,
too.
yeah.
But it worked out pretty well. So it's kind of a funny story with that car. I've been talking about putting it on Bring a Trailer for 2 months, and those whack jobs over there, I paid the $100 to get on their site, and I waited around for 6 weeks. You get an email saying, "Hey, in the next week or two, we're going to contact you about getting your auction active. You know, send pictures, send this, send that, send information."
Is it just because they're so buried and backed up, or are they just?
I have no fucking clue.
No.
They're whack jobs to me. I waited 6 weeks, never got the car on, and this guy stopped by to do a window well job for me. I had a window well that was caving in, an egress window, you know. And he looks over my shop and he says, "Hey, what do you got in the toy box over there?" I said, "Well, I've got some stuff. Let's go check it out." You know, we walked inside and he goes, "You got to be fucking shitting me. You have this blue Chevelle. That's yours."
Oh, he figured out who you were based on the car.
He goes, "I love this car. I've seen this thing for 10 years around town, you know." And I said, "Well, thanks. Appreciate it, you know." And he goes, "Man, this thing is sweet, you know." And we looked it all over and I said, you know, it's supposed to be going on bringatrailer.com here in the next week or two, according to their emails, you know. And he goes, "Really? I got a friend that'll buy this thing." And of course, big eye roll. I'm like,
No,
"Yeah, okay."
everybody's
He goes, "Can I
got
take some
a
pictures
friend."
and send them to him?" I said, "Go ahead, all you want, you know." And well, long story short, less than 36 hours later, the guy brought me a brick of cash and took the car home. That was the end of it, you know. It just
It's really crazy the way that stuff works out, because you don't ever like the one, you know. Oh yeah, the guy that's, you know, replacing the window well. Yeah, I bet he knows somebody that's gonna.
yeah,
buy
I'm
the
sure
car,
his
you know?
friend.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, he gave me the name of his friend the night he was talking about it. And I actually Facebook stalked him a little bit, and I started realizing this guy's buying planes, this guy's buying Corvettes, Vipers. I was like, he actually might be legit, you know.
Yeah.
He came over the next night, and we looked all over the car, you know, and we're all kind of BSing, and we cracked a beer and started sipping on a beer, you know. We're just kind of hanging out in the shop, and nothing was even said about buying the car for like 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
And so about that point in time, I was like, well, this is just kind of a waste of time. He's not going to buy this thing. He's a cool guy, you know, fun to talk to, you know.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, the guy that had introduced us drags a stool up to the bench and goes, "All right, gentlemen, we got to quit fucking around. We're going to sell a car." What are we
Really?
doing here?
That guy? Is
And
that?
I was like, okay, this is going down, you know.
That's crazy, because about a month ago, the neighbor guy, he is doing a lot of car transports and stuff or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, I'm moving a 66 Chevelle, 67 Chevelle, a Camaro, and a Corvair or something." I don't remember what it was. You know, Patrick, if you listen to this, you can correct me on that or whatever. And I was weed whacking or something in the front yard, and he stopped by and we bullshitted for a little while. And he's like, "Yeah, I've been going back and forth all day, and I'm going to go back and forth all day tomorrow from Council Bluffs or somewhere in Iowa or whatever." And he was shipping cars, and he's like, "Oh, you know this? You ever heard, you know, this guy's who I'm doing it for? You know him, right?" And I go, "I have no idea who this guy." Oh, well, he said he lived out by Hickman or whatever, and I go, "Oh yeah, Dode had a guy that was big into cars or whatever. That must be him, because they're both kind of initial names or something." And
Yeah,
so,
PJ, yep.
Yeah, so I don't know if I would say names or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, Dode's friend was BJ, and so when I heard PJ, I just assumed that's what he said was BJ. I was like, "Oh yeah, what, you know, Dode knows him or whatever, blah blah." And he's like, "No, that's not him. It's this guy or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So
No.
I think that Patrick might have been the one that picked up your car. I don't know. The red trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he hauled it off. Was it a different guy that hauled it off?
No, he's the extra guy that bought it. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he used his trailer, or maybe
Yeah, it was strange. Like I'd never even heard of the guy, but he's done so much in the car world, and none of my friends have heard of him. He just kind of keeps low key.
Yeah.
You know, but it was kind of funny. I took the brick of cash, and I photoshopped out the band, so you couldn't tell what I got out of it. You know, I got between 0 and 100,000 for the car. Cats watch everybody. But I put the brick of cash on the lift and sent my buddy a picture. I said, "Sure takes up a lot less room than that Chevelle did."
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to fill my garage up with those things instead of the Chevelle.
But it's like I told my wife when it left, I was holding this money. I was like, so my car just left, and I have this instead of a car. I'm like, this just don't seem like an equal trade-off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's one thing about cash is, you know, 10 grand is this thick. So
yeah, I don't know. That had to be hard. Well,
I love the car. The car was nice, and the thing is I tell everybody, I had a dream a couple months ago, okay, and without going into any details on it, I basically woke up like I've got these two Studebakers in storage.
and they're both your grandpa's cars, right?
So I got the 50. So I have a '57 Silverhawk, which I'll talk about in a minute here, which is my next build. Okay, it's gonna be something like nobody around here's ever seen. Okay, there's none of the cars in Lincoln anyway, or Omaha that I know of.
I don't think I've ever seen another Studebaker in town. Maybe one.
It's it's a unique car. And I got that back in 1997. My mother passed away. My grandfather gave it to me and said, "Here, it's supposed to be your mom's. You can have it." So I was like, "Cool," So for like 15 years, I took that car. There was a parade in Beatrice every year, the Homestead Days parade. Grandpa went it every year. So every year, I would get that car out, detail it, clean it, wipe it all down, and then take it to that parade. And that was about it, because I had a lot of stuff going on. I had the Chevelle. I had, just things going on. So I'd put it back in storage. So, and then I had when he passed away in 2018, the family was going to sell his 62 GT Hawk. And he loved that car. Hands down, his favorite car ever. So when that thing was going to be for sale, I told my wife, I said, we don't need another car. Okay, we really don't. But this car can't leave the family. And nobody else in the family wants it, so I'm going to buy it. So I bought it. They both went to storage. I've got a storage deal with a buddy of mine in town here, and it's free. I did a bunch of work for him, so it's just free. So it really never bothered me anything,
Hey, can I do some work for that guy? I need some more room.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I know there's 2 stalls going to be open soon. So anyway, so I had this dream, whatever, a couple months ago. I woke up and I just kind of felt like a turd because I had both these Studebakers in storage and doing nothing with them. They were my grandfather's legacy. So I was like, I told my wife that day, I said, the Chevelle's going to go. She said, really? I said, yeah, the Chevelle's
God, that's got to
going
be
to go.
like I can only imagine. Because since you guys have been together, you've had that car the whole time.
Yeah, and she took it way harder than I did.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Yeah,
I think I took it way harder.
Yeah,
than you
I think
did.
a lot of people did.
Yeah.
You sold that thing? I said, yeah. I've already got a paint job lined up for the 57. It's a 57 Silverhawk. It's got 289 V8. It's got a flat-o-matic transmission in it. Oddball cast iron automatic with reverse at the bottom. It's a very strange setup. Grandpa threw it in reverse more times than I can count in parades, thinking he was going into low and locked it up going down the street. It's a super cool car. It always got more attention than my Chevelle even did. That's one thing I always noticed when I drove it. And especially the widows, they love it. The old Cougars and stuff. They're like, oh, I remember those cars. But it's gonna be on a brand new chassis. I'm gonna take the chassis out from the car and throw it away. I work for Speedway Motors. We're gonna put a G-Comp front end underneath the front of it. We're gonna do a triangulated 4-link in the rear. We're gonna slam the car down. It's gonna be on Ride Tex shockwaves all the way around. Twin turbo LS. I'm gonna call the car the Studebaker Twin Hawk. That's gonna be my name for it. The Chevelle was kind of dubbed Old Blue. So you always gotta have some kind of a name for these things.
Yep.
So that's the next build coming up. I'm pretty much going to throw away 3/4 of the car and
just start basically a body.
Keep the body.
Are you going to keep the interior and everything as much as you can on it, or is it going to be?
Keep the material from the interior, and I'm going to use it on some of the new. My vision for the cars, I like to have one of them consoles that flows from the front to the back, like a lot of these cool cars do. It needs bucket seats in the front. It's got the ridiculously uncomfortable bench seat in it.
Yeah.
It sits about like this. So it's very good in your lumbar. That's going to go away, but I'm going to take all the material off it, and then I'm going to build a custom console for it. The steering right now is awful. The steering wheel is about this big, so you're turning like this, about 17 times.
Power steering on it right now, or
just
manual? So you got the big wheel to help with the leverage.
Right
there.
down to your shorts.
Yeah.
It's it was quite a piece of car in its time. The Studebakers were, they were kind of the, what do you want to call it, the blackball of their era. They're all swooped back and aerodynamic, compared to the 57 Chevys and the Fords and stuff,
They definitely have a unique look, that's for sure. I mean, I don't even know how to do, like, some of them, it's like a first-gen Honda CRX. It's so ugly, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And some of them are like, what the hell were they thinking? Because it is so mismatched almost.
Yes.
Like they had somebody designing the front end and they had another person designing the back end, and then they just stuck it together.
And they didn't talk. They're just like, yep.
They're like, I got the front end. It's going to be perfect. You get that back end dialed in. We're just going to stick it together in the middle. It's going to be awesome.
It's like a picture of the bridge edges that don't line up. You know, that's basically what those cars look like. So it's quite an undertaking. It's going to be probably a 2-year project minimum. You know, I've got kids now. I can't do anything at 8 months anymore. Obviously, you know.
What
babies do
in age. I mean, I can't do.
I can't thrash like that anymore.
I can't do what I did when I put with a broken arm or wrist and elbow and LS swap it and shave a firewall and do all that stuff and shit. I mean, when did I pull that apart? It was probably maybe March, maybe. Well, I guess it technically blew up the year before on the birthday cruise. But I didn't touch it. I pulled the motor out of it. Oh, yeah. But it didn't really touch anything and just started amassing parts for it. So, I mean, I probably did a complete shaved firewall, LS swap, did all that stuff, you know, full wiring harness on the car, all new harness, all that stuff, and 6 months tops, you know, with a broken arm. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. We're like Superman back then, aren't we? Even 10 years ago, it's crazy the difference. And I mean, it was literally like... That week before, there was no motor in the car the week before the birthday cruise. I remember that. And I had people over here, and I normally work by myself, but I had people over here like Sean Tucker, which I didn't even know him, Ben. I had never met Ben before. Oh, yeah, yeah. And, well, technically I'd met him years earlier when we went to look at a vehicle, but I didn't remember doing that or whatever. My dad wanted to buy a truck he had for sale. Oh, yeah. And we went down to his shop and met him to look at it in the back lot, and, you know, didn't even realize it. But, you know, all these people are like, well, what do you want us to do? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm used to working alone. Yeah. They're like, well, somebody better make a list. And so I had to spend that first half of the night making a list of things to do. And Sean Tucker welded my little stubs off the headers, you know, with the O2 bungs in it with my flux core welder. He's like, Jesus, Mike, you got to get a fucking welder. What the hell am I doing here? Just flux core. It's like bird shit in a can. You just spray it on and you're done. And for whatever reason, I don't remember what it was, the way it lined up and what we had, there was like just a giant gap. So he's in there just filling gaps with that. You know, we call it Uncle Phil, right? That's Uncle Phil. Is it? Yeah, well, he was Wes and I used to always say, you better call Uncle Phil over there. Get that gap filled up. Yeah, well, that's just Uncle filled up. I think I still kept those because I was like, oh, that's history right there. But you remember the 68 Camaro I built back in the day? Yeah, I was actually, once you started talking about the Chevelle and doing the LS swap, that was your first LS swap, wasn't it? Back in 2009. You remind me of that whole thrash time. I had kind of the same deal. The Americruise show? Back when Americruise was actually still... At the State Fair Park. I had a goal of getting it there Saturday morning. And like you said, I had 3 or 4 people all hanging around saying, what can I do, you know? Oh, I said, well, we got motor mounts to finish. We got hard lines for rear to finish. You know, we've got exhaust to put on. We've got wiring to do. And we got that car ready to fire at 5:30 in the morning. And the day of the show. The day of the show at 5:30 in the morning. And I remember my buddy, the last one standing, I just recently had a fall with him not too long ago, but he said, I'm going to go home, sleep for an hour and a half. I'll be back at 7. Let's take it for the maiden voyage, you know, which is always a scary one. What did you forget to tighten? Yeah. He came back over, got back up, came back over by 7:15. We backed the car out of the driveway and ran out of gas in the street. So we had to push it back in the driveway. How far? And you just made it to the street, or it was just enough angle that it just ran out of gas in the street because the gas station was like 6 blocks away. And we're like, oh no! So we barely got to push back in the driveway. Jumped in my truck, ran down, got 5 gallons of gas, came back, you know, threw it in because we had fired it quite a few times. Yeah, you know, burned up that gallon you had in there or whatever. Yeah, the 2 gallons it was in there, and we fired up. We drove it like 2 miles up Holder Street, turned around, came back, and went to the show. And I'll never forget, in that show, I had the hood opened up. I had a BBK SSI intake on it. And back then, in 2009, LS swaps in Lincoln weren't around much. There was a few higher-end cars that had them. But yeah, they were. I'll never forget people walking by going, wow, what is it? Yeah.
so many people said the exact same thing. Wow, what is that? So it was fun. That car was so cool. It had 335 3018s on the rear. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like a mini tub car, on air ride. That was the one that was never going to be sold. And then some guy in Oklahoma flashed me enough, you're going to sell it to me money. And
then you didn't have to finish it either.
No paint, no interior.
Yeah.
It was sinister looking, black primer, air ride, slammed, BBK. Actually, that thing had Bond Speed wheels on it.
It was a very, very cool car.
Neat
and
car.
If you should send me a picture of that car, or I might have one. Or maybe it's on your Facebook. I could steal it off of there.
Yep, we'll get one. And so basically, it's kind of why I went with like the Studebaker. I've got 20 by 11 rear wheels for that thing ordered with a 3.5 inch back space. So it's going to have a, 7.5 inch dish on it. Kind of going back to that Camaro look. And the Studebaker is one that I can wholeheartedly now honestly say is never going to be sold in my lifetime because I got that from my grandfather.
Heard that before.
Yeah. And that's kind of why the Chevelle was like, well, why should I ever sell this? I don't have time to build another one, know. But when it came right down to it, I was like, I've got family heirlooms that need attention.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
That's the ones you give to your kids. Two Studebakers, I got 2 boys, here you go. One's bone stock, it'll be beautiful. The other one's going to be all crazy.
Let them fight for it.
Let them fight for it to the death, whatever. Whoever survives can have their 57.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's why I said I had 3 kids. I got to build 3 cars. So I got the Chevelle, the truck, and the Prelude.
There you go.
They all progressively got cheaper to build, I think. I think I actually have more money in the Prelude than I do in the truck. The truck was the cheapest build I ever did.
I've recently became a Honda guy, Mike. Actually, I've always been kind of a closet Honda guy. I've had probably 10.
Hey, is this your coming out party?
This is my coming out party. I've probably had, so my wife posted on Facebook, it's kind of funny that here I've got a total of 4 Civic hatchbacks. And I've had a Prelude, and now I got an Integra. I was just at the import face-off in Council Bluffs, and I just sold my Chevelle. Kimmy's like, I want you to know I have nothing to do with this, guys. This is not me. This is all him. I was like, okay, honey.
She's rubbing off on you a little bit.
I've probably owned 20 Hondas all my life.
You always had a daily, like you're a good gas mileage, get to work and back and forth to work every day. Yeah.
95 Integra right now. I've been kind of my daily driver right now. Got a B20 swap in it.
Always been a big fan of the Integras.
It's got the newer nose on. It's got the 98 front end on it. And so part of my deal I have right now is I've got a black hatch, 95 SI hatch, actually. And that was going to be my fix the rust, make it beautiful. It's going to be my daily car. But my buddy of mine that actually painted my wife's gray hatch, he wants that hatch. His brother went to the military. And when he left, his family sold all of his stuff. One of them was his Honda Civic Si. And he came back, and he's like, what the hell is my car? They're like, well, hey, bills had to be paid. We sold your car. So he wants to do this car for his brother.
Man, that's rough.
Yeah. So he said, I'll tell you what, if you give me that hatch, I'll paint your Integra and I'll do all the work on your Studebaker. Paint-wise. Paint, body work, block, and all that stuff, I said, you know what? You got a deal. So I've already got a paint job lined up.
Seems like a good deal.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And he's a good buddy of mine. It's just kind of those things where he wants to be involved in the Studebaker build because he knows it's going to be unlike anything anybody's seen around Lincoln as far as that odd duck build goes.
It's going to be really weird when that thing's in. I want you to kind of keep it quiet. Like I want the exhaust to be quiet on it. I want it to. It's going to be a little
turbo. It's going to naturally be quiet.
So you gotta, and nobody's really. It's can't hear the cam on it or anything. And then they just pull up and you're like, oh, it's just another car on big wheels. And then that thing just. Yeah.
It's going to be completely debadged. We're going to do, my buddy TJ is going to do some billet center caps. I'm going to put the Detroit steel smoothies on it, and he's going to do some billet center caps. They're going to have that Studebaker S milled into them, and that'll be black. And that's about the only thing you're going to have on the wheels is for anything. So
it's not going to be super flashy wheels.
No,
they're going to be just stock looking wheels, but just large.
20s, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, going to be gloss black wheels with some billet centers on them, and it's going to be completely debadged.
What color are you going with, or is that a surprise?
Well, it's going to be... So for years, I've heard that blue. Man, that blue popped. Wow, that blue that feels beautiful.
Yeah.
I need to find a red
that pops like
that. And I don't want to go extreme maroon.
I would say... new Mazdas have a red. It's the way the light hit, it flops so much when the light hits it. It kind of goes from like a bright, bright maroon isn't the right word, but you know, real rich red, and then it flops and it just looks like there's a light behind it, and it just freaking, you know,
Okay, that's good to know. I'm maybe looking for suggestions. So
because Mazda, I seen that when I was driving by, and you know when it catches the sun different when and it's on a curve or whatever, it's like, oh, okay, it's just a standard maroon or, you know, whatever red, and then it flops in the sun and just looks like there's a light behind it, like candy apple red kind of, you know.
Yep.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. Suburban, the new Suburbans have a red too that's really badass.
Good. Make some notes. Text me.
Yeah.
I'll check them out because I'm going to be looking for some ideas. Obviously, you know, I'm a few years out on that part of it, but Nick's super excited about helping me do the car. And the biggest thing, I think Speedway is going to possibly help me do the chassis and stuff. They got a few places in the country that bend tubing for like rectangular tubing for chassis.
Oh,
and
okay.
We're going to take some. I ordered some crash diagrams of a 57 Studebaker. It gives you all the frame dimensions. Heights, widths, body mounts.
So you can make sure everything's put
everything
back in the right spot, but now you can go with quality that the factory couldn't do, obviously.
Yep.
And then
2x3, 2x4 rectangular, you know, and have it all hybrid.
2x4, that's...
Yeah, that's what so talking to Art Morrison about a chassis too, and they said they really recommend 2x4 on a street car.
Really? That seems beefy.
Yeah, and like I said, the factory frame is almost like a square. It's like a 3.5 by 3.5, great big monster. So by the time you put that 2-inch by 4, the height is about the same as the factory, but the width is so much narrower. I can add another 50 millimeters of tire on the car.
And you got places to tuck your exhaust now, or whatever else you got to run back there. I mean, yeah, the Chevelle frame's probably, it's a square. It's probably 3.5 by 3.
Yeah.
So
the studio, and the biggest thing about getting rid of the 57 frame too is that they were garbage. As I come to find out now, I started doing some research, and like my 62 GT Hawk has a .118 or .120 thick frame on it, completely boxed the entire way. It's all a big tube. The 57s were like the first generations, started like in 52 or something like that, and they're like a .080 thick frame. You can take a hammer and a punch, knock a hole through it, you know. So you don't want to try to put 700 to 800 horse to a frame like that. It's just not going to work.
yeah.
So I figured, you know what? Throw it away, start fresh.
Is that what you're hoping for with the twin turb skis? About 800?
Yep.
Not going to go for anything insane like the...
No reason to. I'm going to have drag radials on it. You know, it's not... I'll probably, if Speedway and I do some kind of collaboration, I'll end up probably playing around the autocross track with it.
Oh, okay. So not going for like a drag car, all-out speed, going for a handling type thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Handling, pro touring, you know, I want to make it a really super cool, powerful cruiser. That's the main thing, you know. And Team Speedway is all about autocross. You know, so if I collaborate with them guys a little bit, I'll gear the car towards autocross. You know, autocross is fun stuff to do. You know, road racing, things like that.
I would like to start doing that, and the Prelude was what I was going to do this summer with it, but I burned up my ECU, so now I have no ability to tune it and all that stuff now, and I have a really hard time justifying spending
$700 for a
$300 for a 30-some-odd-year-old ECU, and then spending another $500 to put, you know, a Hondata in it or something.
On it, yep.
And so I bought the capacitor kit, you know, that replaces all the capacitors in the ECU, and then a desoldering gun and soldering gun and all that stuff. So I'm going to try to fix
the ECU
and see if I can get it back.
It's like Bigfoot riding a unicycle or something, but that's fun. It's gonna look interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. The way I looked at it was I needed a new soldering gun anyway, so I got the whole setup, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Oh.
And it was $10 in capacitors. So
it's a cheap try.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, then well, I'm going to use the soldering gun again, so it's not that big of a deal. Throw the ECU in the garbage can. Maybe take the socket out, actually, now that I can desolder. So I'll take the socket out, and then I can put it in a new one if I want to spend $300 on a fucking ECU. Which that's mind-numbing to me that The Preludes, why? There's no aftermarket for them.
I know. Trust me, I know. I've been through the Honda. I'd like to put that little Integra I drive has got a B20 swap in it. It's just a bone stock ECU. It needs to be tuned. It runs okay.
Yeah.
But it needs to be tuned. But I'm kind of the same boat. I don't really want to send off and give somebody $700 to put a socket and Hondata on it. When it runs pretty decent, you know. It just has some quirky stuff I wouldn't mind getting cleared out. So.
Yeah, like right now I have the non-VTEC ECU in there with the JDM H23 injectors in it. I had to go I rigged up some clips and adapters. They're just spade connectors plugged into my harness, and then with new clips on it, so I can get it to that car show I wanted to go to with it. And it's not happy until it warms up. It'll idle once it's warmed up, but man, you got to just keep your foot in it, and like 2,500, $3,000 just to let the thing warm up. And then when you're trying to back up with it when it's cold, it's like, it's not fun to drive in current state, but
it's you put cams in it too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but the cams I think are just stockish profile for the low profile cam, the non-VTEC cam. So I was always hoping when I bought those, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a Honda that's gonna freaking be camming at idle, and like so it doesn't really cam out, it just idles like a normal Honda, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't have any the idle air control valve or any of that stuff on there either. I deleted all that. So there's a little bit of trying to get her to idle and be happy,
That first hatch I bought Kimmy last year had a B20 with the B16 VTEC head, and it was all cammed, and I mean all sorts of crap. I was all new to that kind of stuff.
That's like a Frankenstein motor.
Yes, and it had no IC motor. I couldn't figure out how to get the damn idle lowered on the car. So I'm on the forums, and guys are like, "Hey, stupid, you got to use the set screw and lower it, and then readjust your tune." And I'm like, "Wow." So it was the car. It put like 205 horse down on the ground, which is pretty good for a hatch. The thing just 9,200 RPM redline. I mean, it just screamed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I bought it for my wife, and it wasn't fun for her to drive because it was like
a handful.
Lowered on coilovers, it bounced all the time, and then stage 3 clutch. So it was like a switch. The clutch was, you took off, So I learned my lesson there. We sold on eBay, made some money on it. Bought her the little gray one, cold AC, stock clutch, stock motor, everything's all, and just a nice little cruiser for her now.
I went with, I think it's a 6-puck unsprung ACT clutch. I don't know what stage or whatever. That's in the Prelude, and I fucking hate it.
Chattery if you try to,
Yeah, and that clutch can hold 900 horsepower in the Chevelle, and it's just buttery smooth. I mean, it was twice as expensive, but it's like I get in that, and I was like, that clutch is good, it's strong, and so I kind of go with an upgraded clutch, and then it's just like, and then with it, especially when it's cold, trying to drive it, it's like
you don't want to run anyway. And then
I don't have enough feet, so I'm like using the e-brake to try to stop or slow down.
Sidestepping and stuff, trying to keep the brake and the gas going.
Yeah, so it's it's always downshifting and then slowing down and then blurp it a little bit when I start hitting the brake and let it come back down and be happy. But
oh man, I've got a few other random projects going on in the shop too right now. I got a guy bought a 85 Blazer off that square body auction out in Grand Island. Actually, I got two guys that bought, ironically enough, Blazers off that auction. One guy got a hold of me, and he wanted to he wants an LS swap in it. So we've been kind of talking back and forth. Right now, it's hard to get crate motors. That's what he wants. It's a brand new crate engine, and then so he's kind of on a holding pattern, trying to figure out what he wants to do. The other guy, he wants to put a Blueprint 383 in his. It's got the old tired 305 in it, super nice Blazer. But he's supposed to be coming down next month, bring that thing down. And right now, Speedway has got issues with their counter pickup orders. Like prepay, go pick up the counter, That system got kind of messed up a few weeks ago. So he's kind of on a holding pattern there, too, waiting until that gets fixed. He wants to buy the stuff, pay for it. I'll go pick it up with my truck, bring it home, and he'll bring me the Blazer, and we'll go ahead and get started on that one. That should be a fun little project. Pretty simple, no frills, no AC, none of that stuff. He just wants the thing running.
4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive?
4-wheel drive, yeah. Got a little 3-inch lift, 32-inch tires on. Just a really clean-looking black Blazer.
It's the way those Blazers look the best, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
The other one, the guy, he wants the LS swap in his. The other thing he's contemplating, if he can't get an LS motor soon, is putting a big block in it. Like putting like a crate, whatever, 454
or something,
whatever, some 540. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll take anything, But you know how it is right now. Supply chain is so messed up that it's just like it's so hit and miss.
Yeah, like it's the stuff you would never think that they would keep in stock or whatever. It's like no issues getting it, but
Yeah.
everything else, it's like, really? We don't have this? Why? Why don't you have this?
Yeah.
And I guess that's because everybody's...
Like the Detroit steel wheels I ordered for Studebaker, you know. Basically, you call now, and they will call you back in September. Say, okay, this is your week to get your wheels made. This is what we have. This is what you want, correct? Yep, we'll get them made. And a week later, you have your wheels. But that's the end of September.
So, yeah,
it's 2 months out, 2.5 months out, just when I called, just to get your spot in line. You know, and I can't order the front ones yet. Obviously, I got to get the front end under it and get all that stuff figured out. So it's a weird time now. It used to be you just call up, order them, and you got them 2 weeks, you know.
I was joking with the guy at the supply house for siding and stuff on the other. Well, it was more of a bitch than a joke, but it ended up kind of joking. Yeah, it's like, what happened to the days when I could come in here and get what I fucking wanted, and it's not like, yeah, we've got 13 pieces of siding out here in Grand Island. We got 13 pieces over here. There's another 8 pieces in Florida. You can get them all shipped in. We can get what you need. It's going to cost you $200 shipping on all those different places, and it's like, okay, well, it's an extra $5,000 in shipping for all of these.
Yeah, in 3 weeks we'll have them for you too.
Yeah,
by the way.
it's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go a different route, try to figure something else out.
We're going to make an accent wall on the outside of the guy's house.
Yeah,
blue siding.
Yeah, different colors, different styles, different profiles. So, you know, it's the things we have to do now because it's crazy. I haven't had a huge issue with stuff as far as for my hobbies, you know, the cars. For work, last summer I was ready to hang it up. I said, it ain't worth it. You know, 6 months out on a garage door and they say it's going to be 6 weeks, you know, and it ends up being almost 6 months, you know, and the homeowners are going, I don't think these people are trying to earn our business. Do I need to go down there and talk to them? I go, no, please don't. They have no reason to lie to us. Like, they're getting their ass chewed by every single other customer they have. Like, please don't make it worse for me for my next project. Like, oh yeah, this is a guy that sends the customers down here to chew our ass.
Exactly. What an a-hole.
Yeah, that was 2 separate jobs we did. That both of the customers were like, do I need to go down there?
Do I got to go strong arm these guys? You want me to take care of this?
Clearly, you're being a bitch. I'm going to go straighten these people out. And it's like, no, just stop. One of them was a crazy lady.
The last crate engine we had in a job, it was purchased in January. It's supposed to have been here in the end of March. It showed up the first week of June. It was a solid 5 months just to get a motor.
Yeah, and what do you... Like, hey, man, you said you'd be done in freaking May. Or, you know, you'd be done in April. What's going on? We don't know where your motor is.
Yeah, we just got the motor 2 days ago, okay? We need a few more days than that, It's pretty crazy. It really is.
I think people are slowly starting to understand that there are issues with the supply chain, and there is, you know, they're getting it now. So it's not like it was last year and the, you know, half a year before that. But, yeah, it was interesting time. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. Interesting time we live in. So.
You when everything sold? When everything sold out? Yep.
Everything. There's nothing left? That's weird. So you said you got a shop and you got some vehicles that you're working on. What's the shop? What's up with the shop?
Behrens Automods. That's just a side business I've had for several years. Looking at maybe changing it to the checkered garage is kind of what I'm looking at creating. It's kind of, I got gray and dark gray checkered flooring in the shop, and we're always doing interesting stuff. I've got RC cars, I got my son's Power Wheels, I've got LS swaps going on, and of course my own stuff, you know, and then your average oil changes once in a while where you're just kind of cussing and banging your knuckles up, you know.
Dang, I didn't know I could bring my car over for an oil change.
There you go. See? Soon a Studebaker is going to have the 4-post tied up for about 3 years, so.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I wouldn't bank on it.
Well, the Duramax is overdue.
You know what? It's a diesel. They're meant to not have the oil changed.
That's true.
The injector's a plug anyway. Don't worry about it.
It's got newish injectors in it.
Newish, yeah.
Newish.
200,000 miles ago, I got them.
No, they're probably 35,000 miles ago, maybe 45,000 miles, 35. They're brand new.
That's pittance for a diesel.
Yeah. So yeah, the truck, I T-boned a car that ran a red light ran a stop sign.
That. Yeah, somebody said about that the other day.
Yeah, finally got the insurance stuff all sorted out. It'll be a month on Monday.
Oh,
So
quick.
Yeah, quick. But they paid fast, so got that done and ordered all the parts. They totaled it. It was a total loss.
Your truck?
Yeah,
With that bumper you had on it got totaled?
that's what they said.
Would you run to a tank or?
It's a 2011 Camry. Fucking spun them around right in the street, but
Oh, jeez.
yeah, and so that's gonna be the next thing for me is I got to get that thing put back together. But I'm just gonna go back with the factory bumper because I'm not spending $2,000 to put a cattle guard on there.
Well, yeah, no.
So
You see many cows in town? I mean, I haven't. I've seen foxes, but
as it got named the other day, it's not a cattle guard, it's a Camry guard.
Okay. It didn't do that good a job guarding, but you're right.
It did a really good job because
Yeah.
if I would have hit that thing without that Camry guard on there, I think it would have taken out a lot more. Like it folded those it's sitting right out front. I sawzalled it off the other day. It bent the frame brackets the bumper brackets. It bent those over.
Really?
And it smeared the little stick outs over flat. And it was pretty impressive. The frame looked straight and everything on it. So, and it pushed the core support back a little bit on the driver's side, but
It's Chevy. It's like a rock.
yeah,
You know, it's going to be all right.
like I told Derek and Jen, I was like, it was kind of fun. It would kind of be, maybe I should do demolition derbies because it was like, motherfucker, and then I hit, and it was like, ooh. And it like, there was no impact for me. I'm a 7,700 pound truck with a dump trailer behind it.
3,000 pound Camry, yeah.
And a 4,000 pound
Bulldog
whatever.
hitting a Chihuahua. You're like, this is going to hurt his cart. Nope, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, I mean, I weigh 2 to 3 times, 4 times more than the car does. And so it moved. I just kind of slowed down a little bit on impact.
Oh.
Didn't pop any bags or anything. So that was good.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a Nissan Altima back in 2018, and I had a lady in she had a Camry or something, some four-door sedan, just did the old pull-out right in front of me. I'm on Superior going 40 miles an hour.
Oh, I remember that.
T-boned her directly on her driver's door. I mean, so that's the worst you can get at. And that was the hardest hit I felt. I've been in a few wrecks, and that was almost like it tried to stop my car, of course, because it hit the same weight, dead on its side.
Yeah, so it was stopped essentially.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. We smashed that thing. I can't believe how well that Ultima took a hit. It didn't even bend the frame rail. I mean,
really?
I took the bumper, fender, hood, all that crap off. Me and my son did, and I had him taking things off the impact wrench. And that thing took it so well. Yeah, I got a big check for it. Bought some cheap aftermarket parts. Had a guy paying them real fast. Went through about, I think for $1,000, I had the car look back in one piece, Yeah. And drove it for 2 more years. So anyway, it's a little plug for Nissan Altimas. They can take a hit.
Yeah.
It was rough.
2,500 HDs with a Camry guard on it. They can take a licking.
Yeah, I didn't have a cattle guard in mine. I should have put a cattle guard
Yeah.
on my Altima. Gosh, damn it.
Yeah, that would have saved the day, but
Learn something new every day.
I just picture an Altima now with that cattle guard that weighs probably half the weight of the
just
Altima.
dragging on the ground as you're driving. Yeah,
that's one way to squat it,
But I'm never going to get hurt in a wreck, though.
No, and that reinforced the fact that I want to be in a heavier vehicle anytime I get in an accident again.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But when I did get hit in a RAV4, it was a RAV4 that hit me in the truck, or maybe it was a Pilot. I don't remember. One of those, kind of that size.
Why do all little bitch cars run to your truck?
Dude,
I understand
it's
it.
fine. They're just got a target on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it hit me right in the driver's side, like front bumper wheel well area, and it broke my pitman arm, or cracked it.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I had fucked up the fender, and that was it. And it totaled their car.
Yeah.
But the cattle guards. Yeah, I want to be in a bigger car, but that was a harder hit. Them just, we weren't even going fast at that first hit. It was 5-10 miles an hour. That actually jogged me and like jumped me over more than me just straight on through hitting a Camry in the rear wheel quarter panel area and spinning it around 180 degrees.
Oh.
But yeah, it just didn't. But I guess I was a freight train too at that point. I had my truck with the trailer on the back too.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
So-
you had the trailer pushing you. in.
So there was nothing slowing down, like I was on the brakes as hard as I could, and it was like,
Yep. You're just going through.
yeah, it was not stopping.
Green light.
Ran a stop sign on Layton, coming into Layton.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's how they end up in front of you like that? Jeez.
And it was, if he would have been going 5 miles an hour faster, I probably just peeled his back bumper cover off, and it wouldn't have been that big of a deal.
5 miles slower, he would have died. Whatever,
Yeah.
So it worked out well.
It was in the passenger side, so he would have been
Oh,
all
okay.
right. But yeah, it was the stupid progressive lady, and I talked about this on the last one, so I don't need to go down the rabbit hole. But she said, "Well, looks to me like your truck's drivable. Just drive it." Like that. That's how she said it to me, and I was like,
Wow. Excuse me?
The tire goes flat every day. I got to fill it up 1 to 2 times a day, and the radiator is leaking now. Is that drivable? It looks drivable. Just drive it. The headlights are pointing to the sky on one of them, and then she wouldn't call me back. So, fuck progressive.
When I was 15 years old, I was heading to Lincoln from Beatrice. That was back when they were building the 4-lane Highway 77. A couple of years ago, and I was in a Datsun 210 4-door. Okay. 2 chicks in the front seat. I'm in the back seat. We're gonna head like to Best Buy or something. Come up and get some CDs or something cool. Who knows what tapes back then? I don't know. Anyway, we're heading up.
8 tracks.
It was raining, and I remember we come over kind of a hill, and the new highway was way up high up here. They because they kind of straightened it as they built a new one. So you're down low on this 2-lane blacktop. Come over this hill, and I never forget the eeriest sound of silence of the tires just skidding on wet pavement. Shit, bald tires too, starving 16-year-old, couldn't put new tires in her car. And I remember I was in the back seat, not paying no attention, look out the window, and I hear that, and I hear her go, ah! And I look up and I saw a Chevy truck. All the cars were stopped on the highway. They had one of those stop signs that would stop you,
Oh, for like construction or
she wasn't
whatever.
paying attention, they're gabbing away. I remember ducking behind the back seat of the passenger side of that thing, and we hit the back of a Chevy truck, probably 50 miles an hour. No exaggeration. It was just the worst crunch, smash. And I remember, long story short, everybody was fine. I smashed the ashtray with my head in the back of the seat. And I remember when you first smashed and everything kind of stopped, I remember looking at the door handle trying to figure out what to do with it. I was like,
rattled your head a little bit, and you're like,
oh, hey, I can pull that, I got out of the car, and I remember pulling the driver's side, got the driver out, and she was like panicking because she thought she killed everybody, Went to the passenger side, we opened the door.
drug the dead bodies out.
And she fell out like she was dead, literally, yeah.
Oh, no.
And then the driver, her name was Melinda, she starts freaking, I killed her, And we happened to run into an EMT's wife in front of us. The lady was like a nurse, whatever, So she's like, just hang on, she's fine, she's alive, blah. And it was the first case of somebody being in shock I've ever seen in my life. The gal woke up and she was blood all over her face, because I shoved her right into the windshield. Thank goodness she was a nice cushion for me, so I didn't get hurt. And she's like, "What happened to my face?" We're like, "Well, we were in a car wreck, And she's like, "Oh, did I hit the windshield?" We're like, "Yeah, it's all smashed. Look at somebody died in it, And we're like, "Yeah." So it's like 20 minutes straight. She had no idea what happened. She couldn't remember. She asked us like over and over and over the same questions, and you're just like getting ready to punch her, try to get her back to come back to life,
Maybe if I hit her in the head real hard again, she'll come back.
Opposite way in the back of her head,
Yeah.
And I never forget when she came to. It was just the craziest thing I've ever seen. She just started recreating the accident, freaking out, screaming, bawling. It was just crazy.
Yeah, all the
when
emotions that she
that.
hadn't had for the last 20 minutes or whatever. Yeah.
It was, and I'll never forget, the cops were interviewing us, right? And they got me and Linda and this other gal's name, I can't remember her name, anyway, Heather, I think. We're all sitting there. He's like, okay, so what happened while we're going, and he's like, so how fast are you going? And I was like, oh, probably 55, 60. She's like, 50. He's like, what'd you say, young man? I was like, 50, I guess. Apparently the speed limit was only 50 then,
Yeah.
So, and I know we're going like faster than that, but
16-year-old kids, they don't go the speed limit.
yeah. Nope. I'm like, no, yeah, we're going about 50, I think, officer. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, speaking of wrecks, that was a good one we had.
Yeah, that I don't want to be in that. I've only been in a handful of wrecks, and they've all been pretty.
It smashed that
simple.
car to the windshield. I've never seen anything in a wreck I've been in for a long time. So
I seen one I'm on a couple Prelude groups on Facebook. I wonder if I'll be able to find it. This just happened a couple days ago, and it was, I think, in Arizona or whatever. There's no way I'm going to be able to find it. But, yeah, it was lowered enough so it went under the guardrail when it hit it.
Oh.
Peeled the hood back. I don't know if there was a hood on it. There was no hood in the picture anymore. And peeled the roof back. And so the dash was peeled back, and the flat spot on the car would have been, like, pushed back to, like, where your chest would be if you were sitting in the seat. Mm-hmm. And dude walked away with minor scrapes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not his time.
Yeah,
you see
insane.
some of that stuff, you're like, yep,
that,
it's not
it was
your
like,
time.
There's no fucking way. I was like, they're dead. There's no way. It peeled the interior. You could see the dash and the steering wheel and everything. It was all just peeled back and smashed off.
That's crazy. Firm believer, and when it's your time, either it's an airplane falling out of the sky, or there was a guy that died from a tree branch came through his sunroof. Sunroom he had.
The chimney fell on him. The tree branch hit the chimney, the brick chimney, and it fell through and crushed him. Yeah,
it's one of those things where, you know what, that's the craziest story, but guess what? Click.
Yeah,
that was your time.
How does that happen? Like, how do you go?
Final destination, you know.
Yeah. Well, oh, what happened? How did he die? Heart attack? No, we lost a small tree branch and knocked the chimney over and crushed him in the sunroom. He was enjoying his tea.
Because that happens every day, yeah.
Enjoying his tea in the afternoon in the sunroom, and he's no longer with us. Speaking of preludes, you remember that time it was the black Prelude now. My Prelude I have now, it was red back then.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was the same car, I guess.
Yeah, just got it running. And
my first nitrous hit, Mike. Thank you very much. I'd never been a nitrous hit with that car.
All right, no, so let me rephrase that. That was a different car. I was going back to the time you tried to weld my engine up that had cracked in the water jacket and was spraying coolant out of it.
Ah.
Yeah, that was a red car. I don't think I've ever had nitrous on this car.
Which one did you have nitrous on? We went out and took it.
That was my black one. That was the first one I had.
The original one. Okay.
Yeah. So
did you still first nitrous hit ever in a
nitrous and drag
cylinder? Yep.
Nitrous and drag radials was pretty fucking fun.
Yeah, that was a good time.
4,000 RPM, 3,500, $3,000 on the street with drag radials. Dump the clutch as soon as it starts going in first gear.
Spray it. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that. That thing was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun.
That's what got me hooked on it, and now I'm a partial Honda guy. I apologize for getting you into that too. It was just I planted that seed in the back of your head.
Yes, it just started sprouting lately, but
yeah.
No, I remember that wasn't a real good. It wasn't a real clean weld.
Well, we didn't drain. I don't think we drained any of the coolant out of it.
No.
And I think I was torching it while you were trying to weld it, trying to keep
the heat.
We were
heating it. Yeah, and it kept dropping water. Yeah, I remember that was a 20-something-year-olds idiots trying to weld an engine block.
I was like, I just need it to last. I just got it. It's what I'm driving to work right now, so I just need it to get back and forth to work. Or I don't know why I was cheap ass. I didn't have another motor for it, so I was like, I think we can fix it. Jeff's got a welder. He's
got a welder. He can weld. If the welder can weld, right?
Yeah, if it can weld, it can weld. So I don't see an issue. So yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if it held. I think it held long enough for it to get a rod knock, and that motor came out anyway.
I think it lasted. I remember it worked. We got it plugged up. The holes are plugged up anyway, but it was. I
don't know.
It wasn't pretty.
I don't know how it split. It was right in the front, right across the front. I think we pulled the header off that night, and it was just
a crack right across the
front in the water jacket. I don't know if it was in a front end collision and that motor mount buckled it, or if it had water in it, probably froze. My guess would be
I bet it probably froze. That's what I'm guessing, yeah.
So it was
too much water, not enough antifreeze.
It did come out of Colorado. Well, actually, no, let me rephrase that. That motor was not the motor that was in the car. That was my backup motor, and I have no idea where I got that.
Storming out.
Damn.
Wow.
You got your windows up in your car?
No.
Let's go make sure those are up.
Probably go check that.
Yeah,
it
let's
sounds
do that.
like it's getting ready to. Let's see here. I remember changing out a fuel pump with Eric. He'd appreciate that story when I was so messed up from the gas fumes that the stool was just going sideways and going back like this as I was standing.
Oh, your eyeballs were just jerking out of your head.
Yes, it was in the middle of winter. Shop was all closed up. We decided to do a fuel pump job, so we were.
What was that on?
A Blazer, a garbage ass $300 Blazer.
Eric had a Blazer.
Yes.
I don't.
Short lived.
This must have been before I knew him.
he bought it. The spider injection was garbage on it, and we thought it was the fuel pump. We decided to put a fuel pump in it. Still wouldn't start. He immediately sold it to Kevin Broughton for $300 the next day. Kevin had it running a day later. So that was kind of an interesting.
Yeah, you're bringing up Kevin, you know, and I said I've been in manual transmissions, but Brielle is going to a birthday party.
Feed that kid, for God's sake. Little Ethiopian looking thing. Jesus, Mike.
Yeah, he's an albino Ethiopian.
Yeah.
Kevin's rebuilt all my transmissions in the Chevelle, or the T56 anyway. He's been through them.
Yep.
Well, twice now, I guess. Every time I took it out. Well, I had the T56 behind the 283 for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And then so when I did the T56 swap, I think fourth gear was grinding a little bit. So I was like, just go through it. I don't want to put it in with the grind.
Oh, yeah.
And the fourth gear's still kind of
wonky.
It hasn't been for a long time, but like that's the one that if I don't get the clutch fully pushed in, you know, before I grab a hold of it, you know, it barks, it bites a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yep. Engagement teeth might be just a little bit.
Yeah, I fucked it up probably once, and trying to power shift it or something, which I don't know, fuck, I'm power shifting into fourth gear, but sometimes on the highway I fucking do. Fucking Travis usually has something to do with that. Car is scary as fuck in the top of third gear and going into fourth gear. It is scary. It scares the fuck out of me. The front end starts coming up, so it starts getting a little darty.
Yeah.
And then there's a vibration in the drivetrain somewhere that is violent.
Begging to explode.
Yeah, it grows with speed. So it's perfect. You know, top is second gear, most of third gear. It's fine, no issues. But man, you get into the top of third gear and fourth gear, and it starts growing violently. So it's going to need a drive shaft.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't need to be going that fast, probably.
No. 100 mile an hour. That's what you saw me when I cut off from the Chevelle. It shifted out of third gear to 100 miles an hour.
Fuck, dude, I'm doing 100 miles an hour at top of second gear is 90 miles an hour, 89, 90 miles an hour.
Is it really?
So, yeah, if we're going into third gear and topping third gear out and going, I don't know how fast I'm going. Zach doesn't think I was going as that fast, but I feel like I was doing like $130, $140.
Probably. I put 410s in mine, and that kind of really tamed it down as far as like.
That's what that has.
You got 410s, yeah.
But with that T56, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me with the gear ratio and the RPMs and all that stuff and the rear end gears. I feel like my gears should be shorter, but those T56s, you know, first, second gears, well, not that long, but I mean, you get going pretty fast.
Second is long more than you would think. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, for being gearing like that, it's like.
When I was talking to Zach and a couple other people and telling them about the 12 bolt, they're like, well, what are you going to do for gears in it? And I go, 410s, 411s, whatever, going right back with it. They're like, geez, don't you want? I'm like, that thing.
If you got 6-speed, you're fine.
In sixth gear, going cruising down the highway, you know, 1,500 RPM.
We're not recording, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in? Okay. I didn't know
I never quit recording.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah, you just take all the stuff we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll all get whacked up and chopped down. So.
Yeah. You said whacked up and chopped down.
Whacked up, whacked off, cut
whacked
down.
Off, cut around, chopped up.
So.
Yeah, especially with a 6-speed with that 0.68 overdrive or whatever, you can have 456s and still cruise on the highway. That was when I had when I did the C-clip eliminators and stuff, and it was kind of funny. That was the ironic part about. I was putting the new brakes on, so you got to pull the rear cover off my Chevelle, and then you had to pull the axles out to put the brakes on. And I never forget, my wife and son were at the workbench playing around with some Lego stuff, you know, and I had my drain pan up there, and I drained everything out of the Chevelle's 12 bolt, and I took a rag, and I was just going to wipe out all the goodies out of the bottom of it and get it all cleaned out and dried out, you know, and I wipe with the rag, and something goes thump, and even my wife turns around, and she goes, "What was that?"
That's not.
I said, that didn't sound right. A tooth, an entire tooth off of my ring gear had broken off of it. Never knew it. Don't know what had happened. Didn't make any noise.
I feel like one tooth, you're asking for trouble eventually at some point, but it's enough engagement that you can miss it.
A good launch on that one tooth would have been pretty explosive, I think. And so I got, how about that tooth not sticking to the gear lube and going through your pinion, you know?
Or falling off and getting, I guess it probably would have broke off in the front, you know, good chance it could have fell back, got tossed up, got in the spider gears or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, what are the odds of?
I've never seen that before. That was pretty interesting when I saw that.
Yeah, wiping the goodies out. That's a good way to put it.
Yep, I was wiping the goods out.
Oh, wow. That's
Thunk.
a lot more shit in there than I think
Yep.
should be. And I don't think there's supposed to be all these metal shavings in that.
Yeah, that's like oil.
That was when the LS1, finally figured out that we had some bearing issues when I drained the oil out of it.
So, you just reminded me, her story is kind of funny.
Okay.
They took a junkyard 5.3 at Speedway, and they put twin turbos on it. They sent it over to the engine shop, and
Because you guys have an engine shop there at Speedway too,
yeah,
so
two
you guys
dynos,
can do
engine shop, two dynos.
do all the machine work and everything.
They built 700 horse, 9,000 RPM sprint car motors. That's what they live, eat, and breathe. And they do a lot of street car stuff.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah, because they're doing the circle track stuff.
And this time of year, of course, you can't get anything done.
No,
because they're so busy with racing stuff.
I'm sure shit blows up every weekend, and so they're
Yes.
buried.
Get back by Monday, So Team Speedway has a little clout, though. So they took this LS motor, sent over there. All they did was clean the thing up, repainted it. They pulled the rotating assembly, gapped the rings for boost, and put it back together.
Did they actually have to gap the rings?
They gapped the rings for boost and left all the bearings stock, everything. And they put ARP bolts in it, good head bolts, good rod bolts, all kind
They
of
put
stuff.
rod bolts in without. Did they not machine the?
I don't know any of the details. Don't
Okay.
ask me any of that shit.
Because that's the big taboo thing: rod bolts and then putting
I
it
have
back
done that.
together. I have
I've
too.
done it and got away with it, and I've also heard you're not supposed to do it. But anyway,
I mean, my motor I did the ARP rod bolts in mine, and it lasted 5 years of really nice
pure hell.
Sunday church driving.
Yeah.
you know?
So I'm not sure any of the details. All I know is all I did was they did kind of a hot rod did a LS engine test years ago. They gapped the rings, put it back together, and that's kind of essentially
Just
what they did.
find
They
the weak links of everything.
They just wanted to make the motor look pretty. They're going to put twin turbos on it, 15, 16 pounds of boost, nothing crazy, and get it going, basically. Well, they sent it over to the engine shop. Engine shop guys aren't real big turbo guys. They're good engine builders.
Yeah.
Put it on the dyno, get it fired up. Long story short, something with the wastegates, this and that. They made almost 1,000 horse, 28 pounds of boost in that motor. And, of course, the guy that had sent over there was like, whoa, are you serious? He gave him the dyno sheet. He's like, this thing made almost 1,000 horsepower with the stock bearings. Well, that was the week before LS Fest.
Oh, and it was probably supposed to go into something for LS Fest?
Yes, yeah. And so they got it in. They got in the car and went and road coursed it for 2 days, right? Got all done, sent the car back to Lincoln. Well, they pulled the hole out the first time. And they're like, yep, it shouldn't be metallic. Shouldn't be pretty glittery, So they hurt the bearings with that pull, but other than that.
Didn't knock it, didn't
The
spin
rod
one.
didn't break a rod.
Just clearanced it. So
he didn't recommend it, but he said, we proved it that just like Hot Rod did years ago, you can make 1,000
do
horse
you
with a
follow
Junker
any of
5.3.
Sloppy Mechanics and Matt Hopple and all that stuff?
I don't. I'm so busy. I don't watch much TV and that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
it's well. Make sure
I've heard of 'em, obviously,
The one thing you want to watch is FTP or Full Throttle Performance Speed Shop on YouTube. You want to make sure you're definitely hitting the notification bell on that one.
Of course.
But it's been a handful of years ago. But he was kind of going through and he was cranking it up, stock bottom end, stock this, that, reusing head gaskets, reusing head bolts, finding the limits of each, so at 1,000 horsepower, we're lifting heads because we're running out of fuel. So it's the fuel injector. No, we're changing injectors now. Oh, no, it's the fuel lines or the fuel pump, finding at what stage each one of the limits are. So, okay, so if you want to make it to 1,000 horsepower, you have to do this, 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 and this. But everything else is fine from the factory. So it's really cool to see how much those motors can handle.
It's pretty crazy.
It's insane. Yeah.
It is.
And how much you can gain from just opening motors up with HP tuners, and turning the PE table on those 6 liters and picking up, 75 horsepower or something like that.
Yeah.
Just
Not giving it a minute delay and
waiting
waiting until 5,000 RPM.
Yeah, 5,500 RPM, 1 minute delay in over 90% throttle or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, so this will never happen until
never
you're
happens,
in 6th
basically.
gear at 140 miles an hour and it's got the
Yep.
rev limit or the governor's already shutting it down anyway. So
if you're in the mountains, floored, pulling a trailer, you're going to finally find it. Yeah.
I don't even know if you would. Maybe, because you're never going to be over 5. Yeah, I guess maybe if you're going up a mountain, you are at $5,000. The motor's like, kill me, kill me now. Why are you doing this to me?
Give me some fucking fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it goes. That made a big difference on the wife's Suburban. It was sketchy pulling out on the highway, or merging on the interstate.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, girl, let's go. Get going. What's going? Where are you going? You're like slapping it in the ass, and it's not moving. And all of a sudden, now it's still a 5.3 and a heavy ass vehicle, so it's sluggish, but it actually will get out of its own way now.
Stock 200-pound converter too, so they just don't rev quick,
No, they're with all the gadgets and electronics and the transmissions, all that shit there, and the drive-by-wire, all that's there to torque management, they call it. That's to keep transmissions alive.
Exactly.
Let's go ahead and every time it's going to shift, let's go ahead and go 50% throttle, and then you can go right back on full throttle. But it's to keep that hard hit on the transmission, keep the transmissions alive. I
remember playing with that with my Chevelle's first motor. It was at LS2. It had a cam in it, comp cam, and it had the 4L70 in it out of a Trailblazer SS. That was the first combo I had. And that was my first playing around with torque management.
4L70. What is a 4L70? Is 6-speed?
No. It's a
4-speed?
So you have a 60, 65, and a 70. All they are is beefed up versions of a 4L60. They put more planetary gears. They put more roller sprags, all that kind of stuff into it to make them...
it's behind the SS, so they gave you a little more...
the weight. Those things are so heavy, so they had over 400 horse and a bunch more weight than the car, so they end up with a 4L70. And most guys that build 4L60, they make them essentially a 4L70 is what they do,
Gotcha.
But I remember playing around with them tables, and I was out there tinkering around on a closed course, of course, and
in Mexico.
And I remember hearing that thing with the dumps open. You would just hear it. You could hear the torque management with the exhaust open. It would shut off the motor momentarily, and then the unburnt fuel would ignite. The second thing would shift and go. Ba-boom! 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 Just a slight pop. Slowly backing that off until finally it was just boom, boom, boom.
And then the next day you went to Corey and said, hey, fried this transmission.
Can you build this? When I put the supercharger on, I remember taking the 4L70 to him and I said, hey, I need to have you freshen this thing. And, clutches, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to put a supercharger on. He said, okay, that's cool. You can put that on Craigslist. Go find a 4L80 because I'm not touching that 4L70. I was like, okay, touche.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
It's basically the TH350 and the TH400, basically, but electronic controlled and obviously another gear and all that stuff. Yeah. But it's the difference between the 400 and the 350.
Yeah. Yep. The new age versions of them.
So what's your thoughts about? So I can't finish anything, right? Still haven't tuned the Chevelle. Still have issues with the Prelude. But now I'm on to the new project, twin snail mail. Did you see the mail truck out there?
Yeah.
So that's going to be twin turbo.
Really?
Twin snail mail, because it's a mail truck.
Nice. Yep.
Snail mail, twin snail mail. Yeah, so that's going to be that. And I have a TH350 right now that's it's probably all stock. It's probably going to shit the bed immediately. So I don't know what I'm going to do for transmission and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're in the infancy stage. We took the body off the frame, and the frame's over there, and trying to figure out how I'm going to lower it.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to be a cheap ass and go with I took all the leafs out, so it's just a mono leaf now, and try to get it low that way with an airbag, to give me my drivability. But everybody I talk to is like, no, you're fucking stupid. Just do a 4-link or do it, triangulate it or whatever. Do something so that it actually can.
Buy a Speedway kit.
You're going to fucking hate.
4-link
you're going to hate yourself for doing that, because once it's all put together, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're probably right, but I mean, do I really want to spend that extra, $500? I probably should.
Well, the good
just
thing
be
is,
done with it.
What's it going to weigh? 1,500 pounds and you're done?
It's actually pretty heavy, I think. It's all steel.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not aluminum, so.
Oh, the whole body's steel on the thing.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. I assume those are all aluminum, I guess.
It's a 60. I believe it's a 65 Jeep chassis.
Oh.
So, it's. I don't know. It's so ugly. It's like the CRX. It's so ugly. It's cool. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool to,
Yeah.
I don't know. And it had an inline 4, I believe, in there, and I don't know how I'm going to get a 6-liter stuffed in that fucking small.
Quintuple the horsepower rating, or 10 times over, whatever you call it.
Yeah, 10-upple.
I have to ask my 5-year-old what that term is for 10 times. I don't know.
Well, it's funny too. Like my kids, when they were that age, they knew how to count to 10 in English, Spanish, and German. And you ask them how to count in German, and they're like, "Well, I don't fucking know. Why would I even know that? Because they forgot it already."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But daycare taught them that stuff. But
My,
so yeah, I want to do that. That's the next thing. I'm talking to Brandon. Brandon's going to cut me some notches for the frame, and I think I'm going to go with the Mustang 2 front end on it.
Yeah.
An air ride, so it sits. It's got to sit body on the ground.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, maybe make it have. I keep saying 700 or 800 horsepower, and I don't know.
Yeah. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think we'll probably. I think I'm going to go with GT35's turbos on that. So it's not. They're going to be huge turbos.
Go BS Racing. We started carrying those at Speedway. They're actually a pretty good economical
turbo.
I've heard a lot of good things about them. And
I did price comparisons. I forget. Was it?
They've got a 6672 or something, I believe we carry now. We added a bunch more of them here.
Yeah, it was like 6872 or something like that is what I was looking at. And then I got on the VSs, and they're not. It's kind of, and the turbos are so new to me. Like it's so confusing. Like with the ARs and the different sizes of the housings and the impellers and things like that. So
you can always screw shit up.
Yeah, and it's like, well, automatically I want to go, okay, I want one of that. I want one I can fist, and I want another one I can fist.
Yep.
But
can I get the 90s?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you want to spool it at 7,000 RPM, you can go ahead and get those.
And so I think I want to go with a couple smaller guys that can come alive pretty fast.
Yeah. Yep. 66, 68s. Keep around a .75 AR, .8 AR, something like that. Keep the AR low, spool quick, don't get carried away with it. A lot of guys get too carried away, get too big of turbos, get over a 1.0 AR, and then you're just not building the right thing.
Yeah, no, I don't want, like I said, I don't need to be doing 140 miles an hour. I don't need to be, especially in that thing.
In a milk truck.
Yeah.
You're going to die.
I want that thing to be block to block, stoplight to stoplight. I want it to go, I want it to do that. I don't need to go, where it comes on 300 miles an hour.
I remember watching the old Pro Charger cars way back in the day, or the ones that are using the blow-through turbos back in the late 90s. They'd sit the line at Scribner for like literally 10 seconds spooling. The light's been green for 5 seconds, but they're just still trying to get it spooled up all the way.
Turbo technology has gotten
insane.
Insane. It's phenomenal. And like I was talking to Corey, I was probably a year ago, 2 years ago at the birthday cruise or whatever, and he was going on the Rocky Mountain Race Week in his truck, which I think did he sell that?
No,
Jade?
He had it for sale for a while.
Okay.
I think he's gonna.
He sold the Nova. That's what it was. Yeah. And so.
See, he started the ball rolling. He sold the Novus, and I realized I can let the Chevelle go. It's okay. Life will move on.
Yeah, but he replaced it with a Firebird, I think. Camaro.
So he's building their drag car, 68 Camaro. Yep.
So, but anyways, I'm talking to him. He's like, "Yeah, I mean that supercharger's freaking. It's nice, man. It's just boom, but it's hard on everything. Can't dial it in. If it's hot conditions or whatever, there's no way to back it off and scale it off." He goes, "I can go." And bring my boost on slower, and just, it's crazy the fact that you can literally make it leave like a dog to catch traction,
boost
and then
controllers are insane, aren't they?
slowly bleed in the horsepower, and then all of a sudden you're at 1,000 horsepower by the time you're 8th mile, and you're just fucking freight training.
Yep.
And me, I'm like, I'm at 2,000 RPM and I punch it and I'm at fucking 500 horsepower, 600 horsepower, and it's all she's got, and it's just there instantaneous, which is super fun for a street car.
They're great for burnouts.
Super fun for a street car.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the Chevelle Supercharger. It was just they're burnout machines. You mash the gas, it's instant torque.
Yeah,
but then you're there. That's what you got.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Jackson, what's your favorite part about this supercharger?
When your head sticks to the seat.
Head sticks to the seat.
Oh yeah. Kai used to always say I like to make smoke. Can we make smoke, Dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
The kids, they all get in there and I floor it and they're going, ah, do it again, do it again, do it again. Ah, do it again.
Oh. There's a video Kimmy posted on Facebook years ago when I first got the supercharger done. And I just stab it off a green light. And it's so fun. I took off and you just hear it. And I let off. And she goes, wow. I had the same video with Hung Out, my buddy driving. Same thing. Cruise with me. I did the same thing. Note. And he just goes, wow.
It's an Asian thing?
Yeah, it's an Asian thing. Must be.
Yeah, they, I don't know, man. I love the supercharger. I think that part of me wants to take that drivetrain out and just throw it in the Winnebago for like a weekend just to fuck around and find out.
Can you stop, please? We don't need to do burnouts in a motorhome.
We don't need to do burnouts. We need to do a wheelie.
Well, okay, so I gotta say, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're back
Load
on
some
board.
weight in the back of it.
Yeah.
Put some weight bars in the bumper, and let's go do some wheelies in the Winnebago. That would be pretty fun, seeing sky in a motorhome.
Yeah. It pissed me off because I had this idea for about 2 years now, and I think it was Justin Neal. I told him about it or whatever. I was bullshitting with him one night, and he's like, "Dude, freaking Finnegan and Freiberger are doing wheelies in a Winnebago, a camper right now." I was like, "Motherfucker, they beat me to it."
Yeah.
I think they made some weird mid-engine whatever. And
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Did you see the LS Swap lawnmower? I'm on a LS Swaps page on Facebook, and a guy just got a lawnmower put together. It was like a
like a riding lawnmower?
riding lawnmower. It's got an LS motor. You know, it's been stretched, but it still looks like a lawnmower. It's pretty cool.
I seen the LS go-kart. It
That's
just had,
insane.
It had like a 5.3 sitting right behind his back.
That's
And it
just
was
like a
chain drive
chain going.
off the flywheel.
That's like a suicide machine. Yeah.
Yeah, that chain whips off, cuts your arm off.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say I don't want to build one, but yeah, it's kind of a suicide machine.
God, I wish I had infinite resources or time or energy, because my mind is just constantly like just spinning all the time, and I see something, I go, ooh.
Ooh,
I could
squirrel.
do that. Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
Like, I got an LS
Mock-up block.
mock-up block that borrowed from Zach to do the mock-up on the twin snail
Mail
mail
truck, yep.
because that's the aluminum block I can lift up and manage. The LS1, it's not too bad, but that with heads on it is a hell of a lot easier to carry around.
It is. I got the same one at home.
Yeah.
They are so handy, and they work.
Yeah.
Headers, you can put everything on them. They're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Speedway's actually making a new one now. It's going to be made out of all broke flat plate steel, and I think it only weighs 40 pounds maybe or something. But all the critical dimensions are there, and instead of being a big solid block, it just keeps all the critical dimensions with broke steel and inserts for your bolts and stuff. It's a new product coming out this year. It's going to be super cool.
So it's basically just a hollow piece of sheet metal, basically, probably some webbing or whatever
With
inside.
thread
to keep
inserts
it-
and stuff
yeah.
to put your heads on and your manifolds and all that stuff. It's going to be a pretty cool piece.
That's cool.
Yep.
So I need to definitely talk to you a little bit about, when we're done with this, we'll turn the lights on and go over there and look at the snail mail frame and do all that stuff and go over some stuff.
Absolutely.
It's got a Dana 44 in it from the factory. So
Same thing Studebaker's got.
So I feel like that's a fairly decent rear end, as far as I think it's going to be able to handle what I need it to do.
It will.
With the short wheelbase and everything. I think it'll be fine. So
My 57 actually has a Dana 44 with a Detroit locker in it from the factory.
really,
When you turn the corner, if you nail the gas, it'll give you the old chirps around the corner. And then if you just go nice and easy, it just smooths on around it. So
is it the Detroit locker? Is that the one that?
it's the all or none.
Yeah, you either
Clicks
got to be
in or
all
something.
in and you're sliding a corner, or you're just pussyfooting it around it.
Yeah. Yep. Combine that with the Ford Flat-O-Matic that thing's got in it. It's a pretty interesting piece.
Yeah, so Studebaker was one of the things that was they built a body basically, and then they picked and choose what drivetrain, what transmission, what engine, or do they have a contract with Ford on that stuff because obviously like Dana 44 is going to be like, more of like a Chrysler type rear end, I would say.
Yeah, they took shit from everything basically. The
kind of like the AMC.
So like the 289 motor in the Studebakers, that's actually quote unquote their own design, but it was actually based off a Cadillac V8.
Oh, really?
A bigger Cadillac V8. Studebaker tamed it back down to a 289, and it was basically a big, fat, heavy iron pig that didn't have much power. So they kind of screwed up making it. It looks like a Pontiac motor. It's super wide, and your spark plugs point straight out, manifolds point straight down, big wide intake, Mm-hmm. They used a Ford bolt pattern, 4.5, Dana rear end on those things, The transmissions were Fords. The Flatomax, a weird transmission because you pull it into drive and it acts like a 2-speed glide. It only shifts one time and that's it. Starts out in second gear. Or if you're sitting in a stoplight, you can click it in. It has park, reverse, neutral, drive, low.
Okay.
And it's actually
so it's like it is
neutral,
like a power glide basically, because power glide was drive or low, right?
Yeah. Well, but it has 3 gears. If you put it into drive, it starts out in second, shifts one time to drive. If you're sitting in a light stopped, you can click it into low, and you feel the thing actually downshift.
Like thunk.
So you can put it low, and it makes a really crazy second gear scratch out of low into drive. It's kind of fun to do. But you can just floor the shit out of it and hit drive, and it'll just the tires, and then it shifts again. So it's a 3-speed.
Yeah.
But it like defaults to a 2-speed all the time. Yeah.
Was that for fuel economy or just ease of driving? I can't imagine fuel economy was something they had back then.
I probably just simplicity. It starts out in second just fine, so just take off and roll.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go up a super steep hill or whatever,
you need it. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like
low, like in
it's
the
like
mountains,
an overdrive, but backwards. So
yeah,
like when you don't need it,
it's like a
but
lower
when you
drive.
Need it. Yeah. It's like an underdrive.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Over and under.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Jeff, we've been at this for a little bit here.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me.
Got anything you want to cover?
I think
anything we forgot to talk about? This is the worst part about it because we get here, we start shooting the shit for about 45 minutes, an hour beforehand, and I'm like, oh, we should have saved that for the pod.
Well, I know
we get all the good story time out right beforehand, and so I'm like, oh, did we forget to talk about anything?
I know Dan Benzing would love me to remind him of the story when we put a lift kit on his truck in my shop.
Hey, Dan, if you're still listening at this point, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Absolutely, and he'll get a giggle out of it. We put a lift kit on his truck. It was like a 7-inch lift kit or something on this 2005 crew cab, and we came to the grim realization that my shop had a main door coming out and had a middle door, and the truck drove through the middle door just fine, and which was 1.5 inches taller than the main door coming out. The truck wouldn't fit back out of the garage, so we basically had to flatten his tires to drive the truck out of the shop.
Yeah, that's right, because your other shop started out
two-stall
as a 2-stall garage, and then you added another, basically the same garage on the backside of that garage.
Yep.
Yeah, so you had like a 2-stall that
like
was
20
too
by
deep.
44. Yeah, it was a little.
And you had garage doors between each one of them, so this was like the one you could park in for your daily drivers, and then this one was heated and AC'd, and you could work on all the stuff. That's where you built that Camaro in.
Yeah, that was the.
Oh, that's where the Chevelle was built there mostly too, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, the whole thing, top to bottom, and so that was kind of a. He's backing out the truck, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh no, stop! You're not going to clear the roof. So for about 30 minutes and all the tires, you got it out. We still get a giggle out to this day. You remember that time we put a lift kit on, it wouldn't fit out of the fucking garage? That was brilliant.
Eric and Mike Hartshorn were on, telling the story about, I think when they lowered to 57, and I forget what it was. They couldn't get it was so low when they were done, they couldn't get the tires back on, so they had to raise it back up, put the tires on, and then lower it again.
I can only imagine. There's some stories with Eric that involve.
What happened to that guy? I mean, he used to be into cars. He used to be doing stuff, and now he's just like
Eric who? Who are we talking about again? Oh, that's right, my cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
did.
the only Eric I would ever use the name Eric on. You know? If I say Eric, everybody knows I'm talking
Baby
about
D or Eric. That's
Yeah.
Yep. I did a fuel pump with him one time in the shop in the wintertime. And it was obviously wintertime. It was freezing out. We had the doors all shut up and lots and lots and lots and lots of gas fumes in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget one point in time after about how many shots we had done of Captain Morgan and sniffing gas fumes for 3 hours and listening to him cuss and curse and yell and scream with this fuel pump. I remember staring at a stool, and the stool was actually going like 30 degrees this way and then back. I realized it was my eyes doing that.
Your eyes are just twitching out of your head.
I said, we got to open the doors, man.
Yeah.
It was-
Old school time. It probably would have been, well, I don't know. What year would that have been, I guess? I'm trying to think. Because Higley...
02, 03.
So it would have been around the same time that Higley was doing his Mustang build. And I showed up or whatever there, and Ben and what the fuck? Sorry about that. Ben and Jim were helping him do the fuel pump. Both of them are smokers, and they've got the fuel tank dropped on his Fox body. Beautiful car. It's like beautiful as far as Foxes goes. The cleanest one I'd ever seen in my life. And they're both down there smoking cigarettes. Got the fuel pump or the fuel tank down, fuel opened up, and they're smoking cigarettes. Got a half tank of gas in it. And they're like, "No, man, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You can put a cigarette out in the fuel." Blah blah blah. And they showed me because they got a little cup or whatever, and they put their cigarette out, and it's the vapors you got to worry about. Cigarettes don't burn hot enough to ignite the vapors. And I go, yeah, I know, but I feel like that's one of those things where you just decide to go, it's not worth the risk.
I'm going to smoke outside.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead.
The whole melting your face off thing.
Hey, guys, let me bum one of your cigarettes. I'm going to go stand by the fence line because we were doing it at the storage unit there when he swapped all that stuff over.
Do you remember when he tried to fire that car the first time?
Yeah, I think I was with you that night.
Lance and I.
Yeah, I was with you guys.
The guys were telling that it wouldn't start because he had to keep cranking.
It's building compression. The motor is building compression.
You have to seat the rings by cranking the motor over so it'll build compression and start. Mm-hmm. Or you just put the fucking spark plug wires on right and adjust the valves and it fires right up.
Yeah, when they told me that, they called me and they were talking. They've been cranking it for like 45 minutes, and they were just fucking just cranking on it. And it's like, I think Jim was like, "No, it's building compression. It's building compression. That's what we got to do. It's a brand new motor. It's got to build compression."
Oh,
and
man.
it's like, and I'm like, I've never heard of that. And, I was probably, maybe 20 at the time, maybe 21. I don't know when it was exactly. But so I was a little green, but I've been around cars my whole life and like building compression.
Somebody called me. I don't remember who. Somebody called and said,
I was with you.
And Lance was over at the shop that night. And
Yeah,
I
was.
go, let's go take. Somebody's like, "Dude, there's something not right here, Jeff. Can you guys come over and just take a look at this thing?" And like Lance, the Ford guy, and he was with me. And let's go check it out. And I never forget that. We both look at each other like, holy fuck! Everybody drop the fucking wrenches and back away.
Just stop what you're doing. Slowly walk away from.
This guy's got $7,000 in this new motor. Please back away from the building compression 302. And that car ran good. That was a strong run. High 12s car back in the 90s was moving. Early 2000s, I suppose, when this was maybe.
I know, which was crazy. The thing on the dyno, Dyno Dan had to adjust the elevation or something to get it to be over 300 horsepower or whatever it was. And it was, the thing on a trans brake moved pretty good. I felt it a couple times, and then me and Jeremy drove it. I rode with him to pick it up for his wedding because he was going to leave his wedding in his Mustang or whatever.
Of course.
And it was only like 5 blocks away from the church or whatever where his house was. And for some reason, every time we stopped, this little red button on the shifter wouldn't let us drive until we let go of it.
That's strange, isn't it? You had to fill the gas to get it to go too.
It was like, trans brakes are freaking cool. I've never had a trans brake. Probably once I build an automatic. I don't know. I'm kind of a stick guy, I guess, at heart, but trans brakes are pretty fucking cool.
Corey asked if I wanted my Chevelle that last time we put the new 480 in it, and I said, "You know what, Corey? No. The body in this thing is so gorgeous. I have no reason to be wiring this thing to 4,000 and clutch dumping it. Okay. And it would blow the tires off without a trans brake.
Yeah, that's
He goes,
true,
all
yeah.
you're going to do is blow the tires off anyway, Jeff. I said, you know what? Let's just call it.
Yeah. I mean, but while you're in there, you might as well.
Yeah.
What's another $175 or
or
whatever?
1,000 for a 480 trans brake. But yeah, it was about $1,000.
$1,000?
Oh, yeah. It was a grand.
Holy shit.
Electronics have to go in there and some changes, valve body and some things. If you want the good
Probably
one, where
a
you
whole
don't
new
have to
valve
like
body and
hold
everything.
the button to go in reverse and shit. You know, they have one now that uses all electronics to do it. So,
Gotcha.
but well, Mike, I think that's a pretty good recap of
Our life together.
our life together. Yes, I appreciate you having me, bud. All right.
Yeah, dude, it was a blast.
stuff.
As always, I love getting together, and this is kind of like the new thing, like where I just like, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. You want to come on and we can bullshit
Let's
for
go
a couple
bullshit.
hours in the garage and get together. So it's like a really good excuse to get together with my friends. So I do enjoy it, and I appreciate you coming on. And you're always welcome back.
Well, hopefully I get the Studebaker project rolling, and we'll see how that thing goes.
I'd like to come over.
Updating that next time. Yeah.
I'd like to come over and do some video footage of it
Sure.
if you'll have me.
Yeah. Next month it's gonna start getting tore down. So
Is it really? So you're getting rolling. You're not fucking around.
I'm not gonna fuck around.
So I think that what you should do tonight, immediately after this podcast, is go ahead and get Checkered Garage. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm. Check it garage.
Go ahead and get Checkered Garage on YouTube.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list.
I would do that tonight because this will air in a month probably,
Perfect.
and we don't want to give anybody the idea to steal it. So make sure you get her done.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go ahead and buy the Checkered Garage domain. No.
Yeah, you've been hitting the head with the beer bottle hard lately.
No, I haven't. No, I was just buying it for you because you
for
said,
me, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm
My
like, you're
birthday's in February, so there you go.
yeah, it's happy birthday.
Yeah. Oh shit, that's good stuff. I appreciate it, man.
So, hey, this episode is sponsored by FTPSpeedShop.com. Go there, pick up some merch, and help support the channel. We really appreciate you guys and all of our supporters throughout the years. And yeah, go get some merch, help support us. I want to thank Jeff for coming on tonight.
Absolutely.
And it's been a blast as always. And I think that's going to be a wrap. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Later.
Later. Here, I'll get the overdrive in full factory now. You see, take off. I can drive it like a 4-speed. Take off in first. Hit second. And then you let off.
Oh, her felt a click,
Yep.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So it dropped down a handful of RPMs.
And you go to third, now you're in third and overdrive. It's 1,300 RPM at 40 miles an hour. So it's just coasting. Then you can. Now we're still in overdrive in second right now. And you can tell because when you let off, the thing will engine brake, right? You feel it pull back a little bit,
Yeah.
engine brake. If you get under 27, like right about in here somewhere, then overdrive will disengage. It's going to go back to a full coast. See that? Now we're doing the full coast.
So now it's like there's no drag on the motor.
Yeah.
Like
But
you
we're
could
gonna-
come to a
We're going to
stop.
have to try and see if it'll do that.
That's crazy, because yeah, normally it's like nah, but when that overdrive clicks off, it's like a free rev or like a.
Let's just see. I've never tried it. Nope. So once you get down so low,
It will come back and engage. Okay, that's kind of wild. So the overdrive definitely has.
It's got a one-way spread. The catches are just free wheels.